There were more tiny adapted literally that were houses on certain roads.
You're good.
And,
Okay, everyone. I'd like to gather everyone's attention. All right, thank you, everyone. I'd like to gather everyone's attention and call this meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. I'd like to announce this meeting is being recorded. Jonathan, may I have a roll call?
Director Aguilar?
Here.
Director Dashler?
Here.
Director Topliff?
Here.
Director Brandt?
Here.
Director Freeman?
Here.
Director Craig?
Here.
Director Schultz?
Here.
All right, thank you very much. Before we begin, we would like to acknowledge the Chumash people who are the traditional custodians of this land. We pay our respects to the Chumash elders, past, present, and future, who call this place, Anascoyo, that land that Isla Vista sits upon, their home. We are proud to continue the tradition of coming together and growing as a community. We thank the Chumash community for their stewardship and support, and we look forward to strengthening our ties as we continue our relationship of mutual respect and understanding. Now I'd like to move on to our consent agenda. Do any directors wish to pull items or make a question or comment on any items in the consent agenda?
I want to pull something. Yes. We pull 2.4, please.
Okay. I don't have, oh,
Do I ask a
do
question?
you have a question? Or
I just was curious as to why, oh, it's gone.
The folder is empty.
I was just curious as to why the board needs to consider this personnel appointment. Does it seem like we've done this in the past?
Yeah, it's something I discussed with our former legal counsel who's on the call, but Jamie's our new one. But it was because it was a big decision that had to be made that would cost money. And so the amount of money is more than the 1,500 general manager allocation. So we just felt that it would be good to put it on since it had a financial impact.
Good, thank you.
But the decision in terms of personnel issues is definitely mine to make, but it's a financial impact too.
Good, thank you.
Any other directors wish to pull any items? Do I hear a motion on the consent agenda? Second. Okay, we have the motion by Craig and the second by Brandt. Is there any public comment on this motion? See no public comment on this motion. All directors who are in favor of approval, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say no. All right, this motion passes 7-0-0-0. At this point, I'd like to move on to the public comment period. Any member of the public may speak on matters within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board of directors that are not on the agenda. The board will not take action on any item not on the agenda except as provided by law. Do any members of the public wish to speak? Yes.
So a while back, Director Brandt and I were discussing about how many empty storefronts there were in Isla Vista. And at the time of our discussion, it was quite a large number. I remember we were just comparing the ratio of Isla Vista to Santa Barbara. We've been seeing an increase in businesses opening up. Cozy Coffee's a new one, Maria's Tacos is another. There's a new noodle place over there. They have a robot, multi-million-dollar robot that makes noodles. It's really cool. But long story short, we're starting to see storefronts filling up again, which is a good thing. Economically, you want viability. Now, I know that we're in an incorporated district. We're not a city, we're not a town, and therefore we are not subject to having a Chamber of Commerce. However, I think, and I would bring this to the board to consider, would be a business engagement committee to talk to some of the business owners to find out some of their concerns, some of their ideas, basically create some sort of sustainable, viable future for them. I don't know how this could be done without it. I don't know what the legalities of it would be, but as a 36-year resident of Isla Vista, I think that having engagement between a local governing body and the business community, and you have a lot of new business owners in town, like Cozy Coffee is an example, Maria's Tacos is another example. SFM Vista Del Mar in Sweet Jane, they just moved over to Pardal, the big corridor right here. So I think that having some sort of engagement with the business community, between government and business community would be a good thing. And with that said, the key point of it would be to keep those storefronts open and filled, as opposed to becoming vacant, and abandoned. We don't want to see what we're seeing in Santa Barbara. We don't want to see it here in our little enclave. So something I thought I'd throw forward and maybe as a suggestion. I'm going to say the caveat that I will offer is there are a lot of longtime business owners that won't want anything to do with that. Be honest about that. And they won't want anything to do with it. But there are a lot of new business owners that will want to be engaged with CSD to come up with some, strategies, moving forward type of thing. So just want to throw that out there. One more issue, there was a conversation I've been having with a local resident about Verizon wanting to put a 5G fixture, like we call them engineering, over on the west of the town of Camino, New York. But I think that this person's contacted someone at UCSB's real estate acquisitions and something department. So something to consider too. You may hear from an individual about this Verizon 5G box, but just thought I'd give you the heads up on that one. So that's it.
All right, thank you for those comments. Are there any other public comments?
I do.
Yes.
My name is Greg Ortiz, Housing Board Commissioner for the county. I was wondering, since the kids are coming back, is there any new strategies to get out Narcan? I know that sometimes it's you give it out, but there's really not a lot of notification for that. Like sometimes I see them out, I see the needle exchange here every now and then, but it's not like on a routine thing that I see them. Is there any kind of strategies to keep that out in the public to people who know about it?
Yeah, staff or anyone on the safety.
Yeah, I can say that we are looking into it, of the different, what everyone else is doing and what we're legally allowed to do and how we could integrate it to what we already do. So it's something that's on our plate, but nothing concrete that I can say we're doing exactly this month, but it's something we're working on.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time? Could you share your email address with us so we could
Either now or later.
or now or later, but if you do it, I can
give it to you now if you want.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I can type it down for you.
It's GREGORTIZ71@yahoo.com.
We'd just like to follow up with you. So it's a good question.
Thank you.
If I can add one thing for individuals that are wishing to get Narcan, they can do so by contacting the county behavioral wellness department and they can submit a request. That's on an individual level, and I think what you're speaking to is on the broader distribution level.
Right
But just
here,
wanted to let you know that that's something.
I know they do have it even at the county jail. When you're visiting, they hand them out as well if you just ask for them. I think you have to show your ID, but they'll give it out right there as well. But, I just like to see it here locally, right? I was also wondering, sometimes when you have festivals, like the big one you guys have here, I was wondering if you guys were considering having Narcan, people walking around with shirts that says Narcan. So, if you're overdosing, you can't walk 10 feet to get to somewhere where there's a designated area for Narcan. So if you have people walking around, they come to you if you need it. Another suggestion.
Thank you for those comments. Are there any other comments at this time? All right, I see none. So I'll move on to our discussion action items. We have item 4.1, the resolution 23-10, honoring the service of District Council G. Ross Trindle.
Okay, well, Director Brandt did all the legwork on getting this resolution together, so thank you. I helped with it, and Ross is on the Zoom call today. Let me switch it so that you can see him. Not sure why it's not visible. Yeah, that's unfortunate that we can't get this to change to show who's on video. He is on video. But Ross is here, you can imagine. He's here.
I'm here. I can see everybody.
Oh, there it is. Oh, there we go. So I think we can just all say what we want to say about our excellent district council for the last 6 years as he congratulate him on his new big job. But Ross, thank you. I learned a lot from you. I couldn't have started my job without your mentorship and guidance. I told you this already when you called me, but I'll say it again in public, is I had no idea what I was doing, and you were the person who let me know that what I should and shouldn't do at least, and how to get started. And then I've relied on you almost every day since then with different questions. I've learned a lot. Now I know a lot of answers to things that I don't have to ask for anymore. So you've made me a better person as an employee here and in general. So thank you. And I'm really excited for you at your big new job in Riverside County.
Riverside, that's a big county.
All right, any directors wish to start?
I'll say something. Oh, go ahead.
I would like to thank Ross for having really kind of believed in our little district that could and our mission, and then having worked with us to figure out a way to pay you over time. That was something that we were unable to do initially. And it's been really nice having somebody who wasn't just our lawyer, but was in some sense a friend of not just the people here, but of the community at large. So I wish you all the greatest luck at your new job, but I will have a little hole in my heart. I'm done.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say congratulations and best wishes to you, Ross. I just want to say how much I've appreciated your guidance. You have a great way of being able to, you have a lot of patience. You have a great way of being able to explain complex things to a group of people that have different understandings of things. And I think that's just such a great skill to be able to talk to multiple people and convey the gravity of situations in a way that inspires trust and inspires action. So I very much have enjoyed working with you. And I think when you have a small organization, a beginning organization that is trying to do big things, you need capable leaders. And I just am so appreciative that you stepped in without any guarantee of the future and believed in Isla Vista and the district enough to put so much of your time, passion, and energy into creating what we have in front of us. So you're so integral to IV, and go Gauchos, and thank you for everything. And I'm so glad that you are going to have a position, I think, that doesn't require as much travel, so you can breathe a little bit easier and spend time with your family. So thank you for all that you've done, and it's very appreciated.
I want to continue and say thank you for your dedication, Ross. I haven't been on the board long enough to have asked you a million questions. Maybe I should have in the last couple of weeks, but I wanted to keep your load light in the summer. And honestly, I want to keep it simple and say that I really do respect and admire the dedication it takes to travel that far on a regular basis to come to a tiny little knot town in a small building on Tuesday nights. That takes a lot of real willpower, and I'm very impressed. And this district wouldn't have been here for me to join into it if it weren't for the effort you brought consistently. So I'm going to say thank you very much. I wish I would have got to spend more time working with you, but I know that you're on to great things and you're always a quick contact away. So thank you very much.
And I'll just continue the love fest here and say that really your belief in us and your willingness to throw your hat with us in the very beginning really shows your visionary spirit. And it's not a typical quality in an attorney. You guys are kind of trained to look for the worst and really imagine all of the terrible things that might happen if we don't go on the straight and narrow path. And so I've always felt like you've really given us that very conservative guidance within the context of someone who absolutely believed in the dreams that we had and wanted to see us make them come true. So thank you.
Well, Ross, I still remember when you first walked in this door and you were wearing like a suit or I don't know, maybe just like work, professional clothes. And I think I was wearing flip-flops. And we were in one of the meetings that we were having where we were going around in circles trying to make this district work with zero staff, with zero legal counsel. And my immediate thought was, this guy is being here either means some really good news or some really bad news. He's probably a lawyer and he's either here to help us or to sue us. And you were there to help. You had sought us out because you cared about this community from when you had lived here, when you were in college, and you really embody the spirit of Isla Vista, of wanting to give back. And even in your professional life, you found a way to help us at a time when we really, really needed it. And over the years, you've been such an effective communicator, such a great and capable team member. And I think that you have a real knack for being a very firm negotiator in like the friendliest way possible, which it can be two things that are sometimes at odds. But I've gotten to sit with you in some of those really tense conversations, and you've always served us so capably. We've always felt so prepared to have those conversations, and you really have been instrumental in a lot of the success of this district and of the improvement of the community. So our community will always have a special place in our hearts for you. And I think that when we look back, if there's, ever going to be an Isla Vista Hall of Fame, I count you among them for your service to us to help really make this district work from day one. So thank you for all of your work, and I'm really excited for you. Congratulations on the new role, and I hope that we get to cross paths again in the future.
Well, that's obviously going to be really tough to follow. So thank you. I'm going to go really simple and say thank you. I'm pretty confident I couldn't be sitting here without all the work you've done. So thank you so much for everything, and congratulations, and I hope to run into you in the future.
And to echo what everybody has said, thank you so much. I know coming into this district, there was a lot that I didn't know. It sounds like there's a lot, everybody didn't know. And you have always been such a warm and welcoming presence, always someone that I felt I could go to with any question. And I think that that's something that's really special in a district like this, because we have people at all different stages of their journey within governance. So yeah, thank you so much. It's been wonderful working with you. I wish, as Marco said, I had more time to do so, but best wishes to you at your new job. I'm sure we'll see you soon.
Shall we read the resolution or let Ross go?
Let's make Ross do it. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, would anyone like to volunteer to read the resolution?
I volunteer.
All right, Director Freeman.
I had it open. Do I still have it open? Yes, I do. Okay. Resolution number 2310. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Isla Vista Community Services District honoring the exceptional public service of District Council G. Ross Trindle III. Whereas Ross Trindle has served as District Council to the Isla Vista Community Services District Board of Directors since mid-2017. And whereas Ross Trindle has strong ties to the Isla Vista community, having graduated from UC Santa Barbara after majoring in the Law and Society program and living in Isla Vista. And whereas District Council Ross Trindle arrived at a time when the district had no dedicated revenue, no general manager or staff, and pending litigation. And whereas District Council Ross Trindle immediately successfully negotiated the withdrawal of litigation and has continued to provide advice and analysis that has kept the district with a clean record. And whereas District Council Ross Trindle has served as a negotiator for properties at 970 and 976 Embarcadero del Mar, the Community Resource Building and Community Center, providing invaluable support that helped the district secure leaseholds of the properties and pave the way for capital improvements to the buildings. And whereas District Council Ross Trindle assisted in working with LAFCO to provide fair and appropriate service reviews. And whereas District Council Ross Trindle has drafted and negotiated hundreds of contracts, agreements, and memoranda of understanding with district vendors, partners, and service providers. And whereas Ross is known to Board of Directors members and staff as a friendly, knowledgeable, and accessible team member who goes above and beyond to explain complex legal matters. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Directors of the Isla Vista Community Service District honors and commends Ross Trindle for his 6 years of distinguished service to the Isla Vista Community Services District and its residents, and wishes him good luck and success in his new role working as in-house counsel for a local county.
Thank you very much, Director Freeman, for reading that off for all of us. Now, is there a motion on this resolution? So moved. Is there a second on this resolution?
Second.
All right. The motion by Topliff and the second by Brandt. Is there any public comment on this motion?
I have
Yes.
public comment.
Please speak.
Was the president recognizing me?
Yes, please.
Okay, I just saw a hand gesture. I didn't know if someone in the audience was wanting to rise to address the board, but thank you, President Aguilar, members of the board and staff. This is a very nice recognition. I appreciate it. I thank Spencer for being the primary drafter of this resolution, and thank you to the board for your words of support and appreciation. It's hard to walk away from a place like the firm that I was with, Alisher and Winder, and all of the great people that I've met through my clients, through the firm's clients, and all of my colleagues, like your soon-to-be district counsel, Jamie Traxler. But overall, I think serving the board and the community of Isla Vista, it's been one of the proudest moments of my career, to be able to come back and to give back to a community and in a way that helps that community help itself in the future, to help realize its own destiny, and starting out with the core group of people who helped organize to make it happen, was a once in a lifetime opportunity. As a former Isla Vista resident and a gaucho for life, and as an attorney, you don't often get that kind of opportunity. And I was happy to struggle along with the initial board and subsequent board since then to reach this place of relative stability and prosperity, and most of all, hope and energy for the future. It's a unique district. It has a unique outlook on how to serve its unique constituency, and that uniqueness, it really is without peer. It is peerless. I will correct a couple of things. Jonathan had a very good idea of what he was doing. He just needed a little bit of help here and there to put some guidance out, some markers, some goals to strive for. And since then, he's become an exceptional executive officer for local government. And I know that the board is proud to have him, and I've been very lucky to been able to work with him in service of the district. I think it's important to remember, stay strong, stay focused. Don't let the rock throwers keep you down. It's a lot harder to step up and to govern than it is to sit on the sideline and just lob nasty emails. So you're doing a great work. You're doing great work for a great group of people, a great community. And the county obviously is looking to you all to lead the community into its next phase. And I will, as I was before, continue to watch from afar, take part when I can, and certainly keep you in my heart as well, Director Freeman. So you will have a smooth transition to Jamie and to continuing with A&W. As I've said before, I'm just one person, and I represent a whole team of people that stand ready whenever you might need us, whenever you might need them to come and to show up and to help support your vision and your policy ideas to help you get from maybe to yes. And so I think that the future will continue to be bright, and whenever you need A&W and Jamie, they'll be there for you. So thank you again, and I wish everyone the best as I move on to Riverside County.
Right, thank you very much. Are there any other public comments? Yes, please.
First of all, Ross, congratulations on a new position, new opportunity. And it really warms my heart to see you in civilian clothing like me. So it's awesome to see that. Thank you for all the service you've given us for the past 6 years. I know it wasn't easy at times, but you pulled through it in an exemplary manner. And I think everyone here really, echoing their voices, a lot of stuff could have been done without you, without your guidance, without your direction. So as a member of the community, I thank you for your contributions and your effort, and congratulations on the resolution, and congratulations on the new position. Best of luck to you, and please stay in touch with us.
Thanks, Henry.
Right, thank you for those comments. So before we went to public comment, we had a nice motion. Is the motion still good with everyone present, all directors present? Yes, I see head nods. Okay. All directors in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say no. And this resolution passes 7-0-0-0.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sibel.
All right. Now we will move on to item 4.2, our interpersonal violence contract.
Okay, well, this is a long time coming, and I think this is one of the last projects we actually had Ross work on before he wrapped up. But we do have now a signed on UCSB's end interpersonal violence investigator contract that we're ready to begin. As soon as we approve this contract, we can start providing service. The new officer, Officer Avila, has been rehired to the position, and so we are ready to go right where we stopped a year and a half ago. So we made a couple edits to the contract. They were not, I'll explain them. A couple of them were how we had actually understood the contract. It just wasn't written that way for the entire time. For example, the fact that the interpersonal violence investigator is the one who does the educational outreach and workshop classes. The original contract had it written as IVCSD doing those things, even though in practice it was only the investigator doing them. That was the understanding, this how it was going to go. So we made some edits like that to clarify what was already happening. And then another thing that's an edit is it's in section 3A, the scope of supplemental services for the interpersonal violence investigator. It says now they should be the primary instead of they will be the primary. And it does sound like a major change because should and will are very different in legal world, but it's really just to give flexibility for if someone is out sick or on vacation or double booked with clients. So it's not that this person's not going to be the main person. 90% of the time or more it will be, but things happen. They can't be working 24/7. So that's the motivation behind making it should instead of will, is so that we do have 24/7 coverage. There will be services 24/7, but it's not always this person who will be providing the service because they can't work always 24/7. So that's the differences. The cost difference we've gone over already in the budget process, where it was 152 and now it's 209.58. So that's the change over 5 years of different negotiated contracts and pay increases at the UC. So it just reflects the new officer pay. And it is ready to approve.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from any board members? Director Freeman?
No, sir, no question.
No question. All right. Are there any comments? Director Freeman.
I am very excited to hear that, which I did not realize before that we actually got back Detective Avalon. So I am very excited to get this signed.
I second that. Really exciting.
Is there any public comment on this item? Yes, please.
One question I do have, Lana Ravel, she's awesome, by the way, great person. I've had, interaction with her, and she's wonderful. You couldn't pick a better candidate for that position. She's very thoughtful, very caring. My only, not concern, I guess only question I really have is that with the would and should, or will and should, going to that, shouldn't there be a counterpart from Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office? Because most of the crimes involving violence do occur in Isla Vista, not just on UCSD property. So you're going to need a county counterpart on this. So is that being considered, or should that even be considered?
The intention of this position is to be that person. Since the county doesn't designate anybody, this is the district's way of making sure that there is a designated person for these crimes, because that's not something the county does. But they do work with foot patrol, and it's a free flow of information between the two.
All right, thank you for that comment. Is there any other public comments? No, I see no public comment. Do any directors have further comment or questions they'd like to ask? All right, do I hear a motion on this item? All right, we have the motion by Topliff and the second by Scholes. Is there any public comment on this motion? I see no public comment. All directors who are in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. And this motion passes 7-0-0-0. All right, now we'll move on to item 4.3, the Ivy Food Co-op mural.
Okay, so we are back with this one, and we do have all the materials, the examples of the two murals that will be put on. And Sadie, the marketing manager at the co-op, is also here with us. You can't see her, but if you say something, Sadie, you'll come up on the screen for some reason.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. Now you're on there. So I'll share a screen of what the two proposed murals are, and I'll just recap some of the information from last time. So, oh, don't end the meeting. Oops. Don't know why my finger went there. We're almost done anyway. So we have a public art policy. It's linked in the staff report now. Our public art policy allows organizations and property owners to submit applications for commissioning of murals, whether for us to take on maintenance or for them to get them funded by us. So Ivy Food Co-op was our first applicant, and they submitted an application for two murals that cost $6,800 combined. We're recommending approval of half of that cost, and the artist examples are in this folder that's attached, but I'll mainly only share the two signs or murals that will be commissioned. So this is the mural that will be in the front of the food co-op, right, in the entrance. And I know we had a question from one of our board members on the permanence of the mural. It is intended to be a very long-term permanent installation. The current mural was a temporary project from students, is what, maybe Sadie can correct me, that's what she shared. It was just a project that was done for just for that moment, but this is intended to be a longer-term installation. And so this is the front, and then this is the one that would be higher up, that's above, kind of above the IVRPD lot. So those are the two examples, and here's the proposed budget is $6,800 for the murals. The other two costs are not costs that are being requested from us. And I could turn it over to Sadie if you want to share anything from the food co-op perspective of your application for public art funding.
Yeah, I'm here to answer any other questions that anyone may have. I am, as you can see from that quote, I have been working on this for many months, started back in like November, December of last year, trying to get this together. And I think my headphone died. Can you still hear me?
I think it's like a little
Hold on.
harder to hear you, but yes.
Technical difficulties. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, I can't hear you. Hold on.
We can't hear you anymore, so you went away. She can't hear us.
My hands are on video, so it's Spencer.
Spencer was doing.
Yeah.
I messaged in the chat.
Oh, there we go. Perfect.
We can't hear you now.
No, everywhere. Maybe she should.
Do you want to try coming back in? Well, if you guys have questions, we can answer the ones we have the answers to, me and Jen.
And she did tell me, like, for example, the first one you saw is a rough draft. Like she mentioned they might switch out the chicken for a different character, but that's the gist. And that one would go to the right of the front entrance, and the one that says food co-op would go up above, like you could see it if you're looking at IVRPD.
Yes.
My question is, so the district will be paying 3,400 of the 6,800. Is it because there are two signs? There's one sign and one mural, and so the district would be paying for the mural, and the co-op would be paying for the sign?
It's not necessarily, that's not what we're recommending. That's what the board can decide to do. But we're just saying half because it's just 50-50 partnership is what we're recommending. They can use it. You could either leave it up to them to use it either way, do one after another. We have $15,000 for public art funding for this year. So 6,800 would have been, pretty almost half. So 3,400.
For the year moving forward.
Yeah, from now until next June. So.
Any other questions from any directors? All right, are there any comments from any directors? Dr. Freeman.
In the thought process that we are not paying the full amount and that there are two things, to the extent to which anyone else would be comfortable just saying that we're paying for the mural, I'm very excited to pay. I'm also, by the way, very happy we now have a completed application. We're able to actually see the thing. We've got the answers to questions about the permanence of that mural and everything related to that. So I'm very excited to pay for that mural under the auspices of our policy. And then that is kind of like precludes any questions. It's the same result as far as money given over to it, but precludes any questions about the sign.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I was gonna say, to me, this is a mural and a sign, and I think it's appropriate that the art policy pay for a mural. And if we can distinguish that we're not paying for signage, building signage, I think that's would be significant in my mind.
I also like making that distinction.
So I'm not very comfortable making the distinction, and I think I've shared a little bit about why, but I mean, the reason why is just that I think that it's important that we adhere to our policies. And if it's said in our policy that the public art program precludes signage, then I would be very supportive of making that distinction. But I think the proper way to consider this question is within the confines of amending the policy. And I think that we obviously, I think, as discussed at the last meeting, have differing opinions about that. I think that there can be a way to debate those differences that's not in the confines of a specific item that's coming before us, where we might be able to get to the principles of the discussion, and it will be, I think, a little bit cleaner. I think that staff has presented to us a really good compromise based on the discussion that was had, based on the differing opinions to sort of allow us to consider that policy in the future if we so choose. I think that it's a good compromise to leave it at we're going to be funding half of the entire project. And that makes sense given the constraints of the program and its subscription. So I think that I'm really excited to see this project happen. I know it will in one form or another. I think that when our buildings look beautiful, people feel good about the community. So I'm really happy that you brought this to us, Sadie, and really happy to help support the mural, because I think we're all in agreement, at least that that both murals are both projects are great, and that the one on the front of the building especially is very cool.
Director Freeman.
So I hear that, and I actually even agree with it, which is part of the reason why I make the statement that I do. So the premise that, as opposed to trying to right now debate a modification of the policy under the concept of a specific proposal that's going through, that doesn't make sense. And so instead, that's something that I think we should punt to the future. And so then looking at what it is that we do today, the question is how to try to do this fairly with the person who applied. We're already not just paying for their project. We're already kind of in some kind of like, oh, you know, we only have so much money available. We want to do this thing. So we've already kind of been working in some of a compromise position with the person who's applied as far as doing the 50-50 split. And so what I'm really just looking at is how to make it so that, well, the result's the same. The amount of money that we end up giving them, as far as the feelings engendered in the process, I would expect them to be the same. I wouldn't expect the people at the food co-op to feel horribly burned in the process if in the little shift today, we don't take any money away from them. We simply change how we pay for it. But the thing that it does do is it makes it so that when somebody comes later, whether it's while we're changing the policy or at some point after we change the policy in the next couple of weeks until we can look at the policy, we don't have people who are looking at being like, well, you gave them this thing. Why is it that they are able to slip in before this change or whatever, and you're able to do it? And so like I look at it more in the terms of having this partner that we're with, kind of working with us on the idea that, look, can we just change how we pay for this right now so that we can all have an easier time with this project going forward? We give you all the money that we were discussing going into today, not taking that away, but just a safer way of papering it. So that's why.
Yeah, I think my counter opinion to that would just be that that's sort of presupposing something that would happen in the future, and it's without the adequate, I think, discussion and debate and analysis from staff on what the implications of that policy would be. It's sort of just making it up on the fly, and I don't think that's a good way.
So here's my question for you. Why is it that what is it that you feel we lose by making the change to the way we paper today? As stated, I feel that because we're giving the partner exactly what they expected to happen coming into today, we're not taking anything away from them. What is it you feel that we are losing by papering it this way today, as opposed to papering it the way that I've suggested and some other board members have backed?
I think that it is presupposing that this will be the policy of the board. It's making the policy based off of one case, because as you said, once you handle a case a certain way, a precedent is set. And I think that what this is trying to do is trying to set a precedent on the first case that we've had, and that it would be more logical for us to say that we're going to not do that. We already have this compromise that's been worked out where we're only paying for half of it. There's not legal issues insofar as I'm concerned with either whether we funded the full thing or half of the thing, because these sorts of programs are very common in other municipalities. So I don't see that there's really a risk either way, but there is that precedent.
So I would feel like doing something for somebody sets a precedent, whereas not doing something that we've kind of agreed to not ask about today, by papering it this way, we avoid the question. That actually doesn't set a precedent either way. And it even actually avoids the question of the policy, because I agree with you. I actually very much agree with you. Let's not talk about what the policy should be today. Let's instead stare at this thing and just try to figure out how to give them what they want and set as few precedents as possible. And I think that's where we might start to differ, where you start thinking that, well, that's presupposing something. Well, that's, for me, just maintaining optionality. I like trying to figure out ways of making it so that if we make a decision later, we don't box ourselves in today. So I want to give them everything that they're expecting today and set no precedents. And I think that we set no precedents.
But
by
you
doing
set a
anything I
precedent by
suggest.
putting in a condition.
I'm actually not setting a condition. I'm simply saying that I'm going to give you this much money and I'm going to pay for that mural.
But
Isn't it weird to pay for
you're
half of the
overriding
thing?
the recommendation of staff. So what, or maybe help me understand what it is that you're proposing, because I thought I heard you say that we'd allocate the money and that we would condition it upon being for the, one of the murals and not the other. Or did
I don't think condition is the right word. The way that I'm looking at it is describing it. So I'm saying that there are two projects before, there are two like things that are before us in this thing, and we're going to give you half the money because we want to fund this mural. Not saying that, you know, I mean, I honestly, I'm not certain what conditioning means in this context.
I don't want to dominate the discussion.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be interested in hearing what your motion would be, because maybe we're not as far apart as.
Let me look at what the actual staff motion was here.
Jay's looking for that. Do any other directors have comments they'd like to make at this time?
I do think that staff has worked out a great compromise. It gets to what everyone wants, which is to fund public art. Signage, advertising, and business is not public art. It's just not. So I think it's important that we, in discussion today, that we at least say that. So that we don't create a precedent where other businesses are coming to the IVCSD to fund their signage for their commercial business.
Freeman.
I can see for what it's worth, where Spencer now, with the response to what you're saying, can make the statement that does set a firm precedent. For what it's worth, I would still be on your side if given the option between what you're saying and what Spencer wants. I think I would still vote for what you want, and I would still vote against what Spencer wants. But I can at least see the argument. The hope that I'm having here is that maybe we can simply avoid making that statement today and then schedule for our next meeting, possibly our next policy committee meeting in a week from now, not even 2 weeks from now, a discussion of this policy in order to try to look into it. We've got here staff is recommending approval of 3,400 for the projects after review of the application. I mean, I move to approve $3,400 for the mural to be placed on the front of the Isla Vista Food Co-op.
A second.
All right. Okay. I see some.
I think we were misunderstanding.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Politics. We're doing it.
We have the motion by Freeman and the second by Brand. Is there any public comment on this motion? Yes.
So the last meeting where it was left at was big concern was you have a mural and then you have a sign. And the sign says Ivy Food Co-op. And that could be seen as advertising. So you're putting money into advertising a private entity. Well, it's actually a publicly owned entity, but regardless, you're putting money into artwork for a business entity. And there was something that Director Brandt had brought up at the last meeting where it was this kind of sort of this way of differentiating the art. And I thought about it and I said, I wish I could comment on this, but it was shelved to the next meeting, so here we are. So I'm going to comment on it. I think, in my humble opinion, okay, this is the way that I would personally do it. I'm a little weird, but here. I would have the artist draw the mural and leave a space for Ivy Food Co-op to bring in their own artists and do Ivy Food Co-op. Basically, you draw the artwork, and then you have whoever you assign to do it, you pay them to do the mural, and then you leave a space for Ivy Food Co-op to bring in an independent artist of their own choosing, their own funding, and put the words Ivy Food Co-op on it. That way you don't get pigeonholed into possibly being accused of supporting a business entity. That's always that part. And that's from my understanding, from what I'm seeing, that's a huge part of the concern that's being expressed across the board. I would say that's what I would do, is just differentiate the art. One person comes in, does the mural, one person comes in. The better together part in that one mural, the main mural that you showed, it's at the front of the store, That's fantastic. Better Together doesn't advertise anything. But if it says Ivy Food Co-op on there, then you're getting into an advertising realm. And that's where I think some of the problem, some of the issue lies. As far as for setting a precedent, you know, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I think that any public art is gonna be on a case-to-case basis. It's gonna be different every time. So if you set a precedent, you kind of do pigeonhole yourself into this is the way it's gotta be, but it shouldn't be that way. There should be a certain amount of flexibility. I'm not an artist, I'm a dumb scientist. I can't even draw a stick figure. But the thing is, I do know that if, you know, if I were to draw a piece of art and then I would say, this is commissioned by so-so, now you get into a different, or this is for so-so and business entity, now we get into a different realm. So something to consider, just have an artist do the murals, you know, the artist that you're choosing, and have Ivy Food Co-op's own artists come in and do the lettering for Ivy Food. That's the best neutral suggestion that I can offer. It's kind of differentiative. Did I just make up that word? But it does, I think it would work in this case. And like I said, I think every case of public art is going to be individual case per case. I don't think it's going to be cut and dried across the board. So, I don't know. I'm not a legal guy. That's Ross. Can we bring Ross back?
We have our
He's got his civilian clothes on like me, you know?
Right, thank you for those comments. Is there,
Sadie has her hand.
okay, yes, please, Sadie, speak.
Hi, hopefully I'm back. Can everyone hear me now? Never using those headphones ever again. What a disaster. I just wanted to say, I put it in the chat, but I don't know who can see what. I am happy to work on preparing a quote that separates the cost of the mural in the front from the mural on the side, if you'd like. I think the agreement to split it up in half is fine. And I hear your sentiments about the side, and I understand where like there's a concern that that just looks like advertisement for us. I do think there is always a potential to consider a way for our name to still be there on this side and for it to seem more public art-y. But I think if disregarding all that, it sounds like it's, you know, a very involved thought process. I just think that Michael is a local artist who would be a great addition to the public spaces of our community. And I think, as someone mentioned, we are owned by the community. So it makes sense that we would have some beautiful work from someone in our community on a building that is sort of central-ish to our Isla Vista community. And I thank everyone for your very thoughtful considerations of this project. Like I was trying to say earlier, I don't know if it came through. This has been something I've been working on since December, and I'm just really excited. Michael has been so excited and is a huge champion of this project, and he is just, he's like ready to get going. You know, we have been chatting for a long time. So hopefully we can, you know, reach something that works for everyone, and make Ivy a little more beautiful.
All right, thank you for those comments. Are there any other public comments at this time? I'll come back to the board. So we heard a motion. If Director Freeman, if you could repeat that motion so we're all on the same page.
Motion to approve $3,400 for a mural on the front of the Isla Vista Food Co-op.
Seconders, is yours still good with that motion? All right.
I have a question. for Will.
Yes.
So are you then distinguishing between the signage and the mural?
This is
In
the
that
mural on the
motion.
front.
Okay,
of the
I'm
Isla
just
Vista
trying to
Food Co-op.
understand. So this is the avocado sun?
Yes.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from board members? Director Brand.
Not a question, just a comment that I think this is a good compromise for where we're at. I think that I appreciate the thoughtful discussion of all this. And for you, Sadie, I'm sorry that you have gotten to be the first test case of our policy. And for us realizing that we have different things about our policy that we may want to change. But as I think you'll see, we're all very excited about the project. And, you know, just in general, I think I said this last time, but I just want to say it again because it was mentioned in the public that, you know, most of the signage at businesses in Isla Vista was paid for by public agencies through the facade improvement program. And so this is not really a foreign thing. I think this is an important thing that we shouldn't preclude ourselves or future boards from doing. And I'm sure there'll be a policy discussion about that in the future, which we'll get to participate in. So.
I also, I hope this comment doesn't complicate anything. I will say there is potential that the chicken will turn into something else in that sketch. I'm really leaning more towards like a little cartoon flower or something along those lines. I'm not personally vibing with the chicken, so I just wanted to warn you. The chicken doesn't end up on the front. It wasn't to fool you. That's just the sketch, and it may have a slightly different iteration, but general, that's what we're going with for the mural.
I don't think your audio was working at the time, but this was actually introduced correctly by Jonathan, or maybe Jenna, explicitly stating that the chicken was potentially going to be changed. So.
Yeah, I think he's a little goofy. He's not totally. I don't want him to become the mascot of the co-op.
Gotta say, I'm a big fan of the avocado.
You know, the avocado thing, I'm probably the only Latino that hates avocados. Sorry. Sorry. My mom will offend them too when we got to this country.
I just want to say, I just appreciate the conversation. I think it's tough to have differences of opinion, but to resolve them in ways that preserve civility. So I appreciate that you all were able to come to, you and Spencer were able to come to a good compromise. And I do want to agree with Spencer that I think beautification of properties is a very worthwhile thing in a community. And I think that is definitely something to consider, you know, moving forward. When we are considering new projects to engage in, of looking at ways that we can be more proactive in beautification, other than, you know, graffiti abatement, but actually working on things that have a commercial aspect. And I think that ties along with some public comments we heard earlier.
All right, thank you for those comments. Do any other directors have anything they want to share? Okay, so we heard a motion, we heard a second, we heard some comments, but I believe the motion is staying the same. So all directors who are in favor of this motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, please say no. And this motion passes 7-0-0-0. Thank you very much, Sadie, for being here with us, and even through returning after a little mishap and hearing our intense conversation. So thank you for being here.
Keep us in the loop when the ribbon's getting cut.
Yes, will do. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, so at this time, we will move on to section 5, our reports. We have item 5.1, reports from members of the board. Do any members of the board have reports they'd like to share? Dr. Freeman.
Because Marcos was unable to do so, I attended meetings with the single-family residents along the west end of Isla Vista with respect to our work with the parking study, and can report that remarkably, there was generally very positive sentiment with relation to it, and I think that that's in no small part due to the selection of the consultants that we ended up having, which set their minds very much at ease because of her existing prior involvement with Isla Vista, and yeah.
Thank you for that report, Director Freeman. And thank you for covering for me that day. I really wanted to be around that day and get to interact with Dixon in person. I did get to attend our first virtual R1 resident meeting with Dixon. And similarly, folks were very impressed with our consultant, and I have a good feeling about the way things are going. I'm excited for the outreach to continue in that process. and I'll continue my report. So just yesterday, we had the August meeting of the Goleta Library Advisory Council. And there was a lot of work behind the scenes, a lot of work in front of the scenes. And so let me find the schedule that was approved by the advisory council, but it goes in line with what we had all discussed and hoped for here at this board. Their staff has provided us with, I think, 7 different schedules. All of them kept Isla Vista with 20 hours of service. So we never once had to deal with like wondering if we were going to have a reduction in service. At the advisory commission, there was a conversation about if different sites in Isla Vista were going to be proposed in order to maximize efficiency, as well as ways that they can maximize efficiency by going to multiple places in one day, whereas the previous schedule, they'd be staying at each Isla Vista location for about 4 or 5 hours. And they found that there was greater success if they were there for shorter periods of time and more mobile in the community. And folks in that commission were very thoughtful, so we all voted to recommend to go to their city council the staff recommendation, which continues to have Isla Vista at 20 hours of service per week, with the locations being split in 2.5, a break, and then another 2.5. So all of the weekdays there will be book van service in Isla Vista. So I'm very happy to hear that individually. And I'm also happy to hear that they will be expanding to a few other locations in Goleta on the weekends, as well as looking to go to event-based schedules. So IVRPD, I believe, reached out to them, and they have a partnership about trying to connect with their different festivals that will be coming up in the fall. So technically that's under the guise of the non-Isla Vista hours, but it will still be in Isla Vista and serving our community. So that's all to say, without going into detail, the schedule, if you want to hear more from me, I can share the more detailed information. And that process will then go to their city council, but we will retain the high level service here in Isla Vista. They also have an interim director at the city of Goleta for their library services, who I got to meet. She's very experienced, so I feel confident there that we won't have any loss of service or trouble with staffing. One thing I want to commend the city of Goleta for is that so many hours are staffed by volunteers. I believe that they have, on a regular basis, 120 to 110 volunteers who keep their services going. So first of all, amazing for their community. And second of all, if anyone nearby, anyone listening on Zoom, President is looking for volunteer opportunities, that's a great place nearby that has been an excellent partner with us in Isla Vista. And you know, hopefully we can all get involved and give back a little bit too to our neighbors. Yeah, so that was a great meeting. Yeah, I think that's all of my reports. Yeah. Any other directors have reports they'd like to share? Director Brand.
Just a question for you on the advisory commission. Was there any discussion about hiring a full-time library director?
There was not discussion about the hiring of the full-time, but I do know that they have a search open. I don't know if any of the advisory commissioners are a part of the search board. We did have also like a big update. Goleta City's having a big update to all of their municipal commissions and advisory boards to make them all standardized across the board. I believe they have 8. And so we went over, discussed that, and approved those things. But yeah, they have an interim director. I've seen online that they have posted a search for the full-time director, but I do not know how that search is going so far. I think they mentioned they have a few candidates, but I don't think the window is closed yet.
Thanks for that. And if I could just add for
Yes.
my report that I sat in on, didn't participate, but sat in on one of the focus groups for parking as well, and also found our staff to be very, very capable, and I'm really excited that we're working with them.
Yes.
I have a question, Jonathan. I'm allowed to share about IVCSD, right? Okay, cool. I had a really good meeting with Jonathan, Lieutenant Slaw, and I, looking at the festival ordinance and the social host ordinance. And it seems like we're coming to some good compromises regarding making partying safer in Isla Vista, with those being our priorities without, you know, encroaching too much on how parties currently exist and diminishing the culture that comes with those within Isla Vista.
Thank you. Any other directors have reports they'd like to share? Right, I see none, so I'll move on to item 5.2, reports from standing and ad hoc committees. Are there any committees who would like to give updates? Right, I see none, and now move on to report from district council.
I'll make it brief. It is very great to see you all in person, so I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you.
We're happy to have you.
It would be so great if you would like formally introduce yourself
Oh, yeah.
and just tell us a little bit about your background and stuff.
Yeah, sure, of course. My name is Jamie Traxler. I have been an attorney with Alshire and Winder for about 4 years now. I'm not sure if Ross shared this with you guys, but when I first started at Alshire and Winder, I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, Isla Vista seems so cool. How do I become part? And he said, oh, you know, I already have an assistant. You know, give it some time. Maybe I'll have room for you later on. So about a year and a half ago, I reached out to him again and I said, I really want to be a part of Isla Vista. I think, you know, the concept is so cool. There's nothing more American than starting your own government if you're not happy with the one that's governing you. I want to be a part. And he was like, okay, well, let's give it a shot. And so I just want to let you all know that I was very intentional in being here, even as Ross's assistant. And as he said, we really do believe in the mission of what you guys are doing and, you know, the direct impact that you are having on the community is very impressive. It's, you know, incomparable to what we see in cities in LA on a daily basis. So, yes.
Thank you very much. That's an excellent introduction. Yeah, any other directors have questions at this time?
Oh, and a little generally about myself, if you want to know. So I graduated from Arizona State, so I am familiar with the, you know, big party culture, and that's very prevalent at Arizona State. I got my law degree from Chapman University. I've been with Alshire and Winder since I graduated. I interned with them and I clerked with them while I was in law school. And I've just kind of always been, you know, interested in politics. That's what I got my undergrad degree in. So this feels very full circle to me, which is really great. I live in Orange County in Fullerton now with my fiance, who we actually met at Arizona State. And so, yeah, I'm just very happy to be here with you all.
Thank you very much. All right, I will now move on to item 5.4, our report from general manager and staff.
Yeah, even though Ross is gone, Jamie's been critical the last week in some issues, and so is Pam Lee, who's also at Alshire. So we're still in good hands. We're getting taken care of. So I have a lot of updates because it's been a month. There's double the amount of updates. No, I'm just joking. But there's significant ones in this one. So the first update is that Jimmy Akara, our community engagement project manager, had to step down from his position due to personal unforeseen circumstances. So we will need to reopen that search tomorrow for that full-time role. As you know, Maya's our new interim for the other position in that department, for the director position. And so she's been getting acclimated to that job. It's only been 2 weeks. And so that's going well. And she's, you know, first big project right now is organizing us to be out there for move-in week. So really being visible and engaging the community for that. Compost Collective, I emailed about the big news, but I'll mention in the board meeting, which is we made the big first sale. It's framed in the office right now. You can go check it out.
Yeah. Is that like the first dollar? You have the
Yeah,
first dollar?
exactly. It's $28 though. So we got our first sale, and Carly also hosted a documentary screening about composting at the community center a couple weeks ago. And we're continuing to make progress with our consultants. So that's been going really well, and they are making new discoveries every day. Jenna, if you want to talk about your Ivy Beautiful activities in the last week since you're here.
I've just been working on preparing for the move-in market. So all the items left over from the gift sale are stored away. So we're just working out all those details. The dates will be September 15th and 16th. And I am also working on educational information for move-in, because move-in is very related to move out. The way that you buy your items and treat your items and ultimately recycle them at the end of the year all has to do with each other. So if we can make move-in good and teach everyone sustainable practices throughout the whole year, then move out should be better. So I'm working on curating that information to get out to people. And then also the trash bins to replace the ones on Pardal have officially been ordered. So I don't have an ETA yet, but hopefully we'll have them by the end of September.
And county's installing them.
Yes.
Yeah, Ivy Safe, thank you, Jenna. And then Ivy Safe, I had the same update. We had good compromises we're making, and so we're gonna meet again with our committee before the next Ivy Safe meeting in September. So we'll hopefully have a public reveal of things pretty soon. Safety stations, I'm actually meeting with both UCPD and IVRPD separately on the two separate matters with the safety station tomorrow, with IVRPD on the land use and UCPD on the new pricing issues. So hope to get these safety stations resolved by the end of this week, if not more clarity on what we need to do. I already told you that our new interpersonal violence investigator has been hired. I was on the interview committee for that with some other community partners. And so we're excited that Kavina is coming back. And community room, you can see how nice it is. There's new improvements, looking better. There's other improvements coming at here and at the center. And we also, at our last policy committee meeting, we went through maybe, I don't know how many it was, like 10 to 15 different policies that might be needed, or different approaches or issues that could be solved by policy at the space reservation world. So we are working through those. There was a lot, and we had a lot of discussion, and so we're hope to get those done before the year officially begins, before the summer ends, but might not be able to. But that's the hope. We're still trying to get through that acoustics project at the community center and just working through the county to get those challenges resolved. I think we should be good, but hopefully no last minute issues sabotage us, but hopefully not. The STEP grant, we've been working with KTUA to try to make some progress this summer on the final pieces that they owed to us their final pieces by the end of September. So time is getting short, but we're trying to work with them to get those finalized. You heard about the parking project a bit, but we've had no updates on parking for so long, but there's been so much that's happened in the last month. We have 3 focus groups, like you heard, with long-term single-family residents. We've met with the Foot Patrol to learn the lay of the land of what's going on now with enforcement and what's possible. 4 months of data have been collected and analyzed, so April, May, June, and July. And August is happening pretty soon. A lot of research has been done on things like the county codes on parking, the history, the historical documents we provided. Dixon, for example, listened to a town hall from 2015 from the last parking study and dissected the notes. And we've used some of that information now. For example, the parking space size. We went off what the complaints were in 2015 so that we don't run into the same obstacles. And then the survey and town hall should be launching in early October is what we're aiming for. So I don't want to give a date yet, but early October is when we hope to we've launched publicly, so we've sent an email out and we've done a website. So it's public, we're doing this, but this will be our first main opportunity for the public to engage. On the planning front, which also hasn't had a lot of updates, but since we got that email from Dan Clemens' class about the IV master plan, I took him out to lunch just to learn more about what they're thinking and what his thoughts are and how that interacts with the parking study. So he's super knowledgeable and had a lot to say. We were gonna have it today, but we're gonna move it to it's moved already to the next August meeting, which is Maya's working on a plan or proposal for the board on what to do for Halloween this year with our budget. And so, but she's meeting with IVRPD's her equivalent there today, or today or tomorrow. But either way, the meeting's happening, and so they're working on. She's going to hear from them on what they're doing and the partnership proposal that they had for us for Dia de los Muertos. So we're gonna hear from them and then have a plan for you at the next meeting. You heard the library update, which is really excellent news in my opinion. We essentially got everything we wanted at the end, so that was good. The next thing is on our audit. So you haven't seen our 2021, 2022 audit yet. We've done everything on our end that needs to be done. We're waiting on our auditors. It's been many months now, but yeah, this is second late audit when we used to be the most on time district. Like we would finish our audit within 3 months of the year closing. The last two have taken a year plus. It's a problem. So I don't want this audit to take that long. But the district's been doing everything on our end of preparing the information, responding to the request. So it's just taking time on our auditors' end. Also, our PRA, Public Record Act request policy, says that I need to report at the board meetings for all the PRAs we get. So we've had 3 we've been working on since the last board meeting. So one was from Peter Neuschel for all parking related documents, emails, correspondence, etc. So we responded to that one within the exemptions that we have afforded to us. So like the deliberation exemption, we used it. But we turned over everything else that didn't fall under the exemption. We had a Public Record Act request from a transparency organization for all our staff names and the salaries attached to them, which we already submit that information by position to the state of California. We just change out one column for the name. And then we had another Public Record Act request from a parent of someone who lives in Isla Vista, and they were asking for all sources of IVCSD revenue, such as fees and taxes, all the rates of fees and taxes that IVCSD charges, our budget for the last 3 years, our full list of budgeted positions and salaries of those in 2022, and our plan and schedule to improve public utilities around UC Santa Barbara, including the roads, sidewalks, curbs, gutters, and traffic signs. And then the final thing, which again is pretty significant, is we finished our 3 summer evaluations for our staff, and everybody earned the 5% merit increase. That's it.
All right, Director Freeman. So I appreciate this might be difficult given the both expected and unexpected issues in our complications in our community engagement department. But I was wondering if there was any thing being looked into with respect to our landlord-tenant housing mediation program for move-in, trying to do advertisements related to like roommate agreements and things like that.
It'll be part of the move in. Well, one of Jimmy's projects was to finish an incentive program for the roommate contract. We already have the roommate contract made, but we were going to create like a incentive program for residents to actually do it. So we'll see if we can get that done. It's maybe not as possible. We'll see with what we can do. But we also have the job description already drafted for the rental housing mediation intern coordinator role that we had budgeted for many years that we haven't done yet. So that's another opportunity as well. So I'm not sure if we can get anything with different from last year, but we will be out there for move-in promoting the mediation service and the roommate contract. We just won't have the incentive program to help get more participation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Is there a requirement that, audits have to be done in a certain, period of time?
Yes.
What is that period of time?
Within a year, I'm pretty sure like, we have to submit our audits at the county before the end of the following fiscal year, so we haven't done that twice now.
And, the firm that we use, is that provided for us, or is that something that we choose?
We signed a 5-year contract
Oh,
with them.
got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask a question about the PRA requests. What is the requirement for that? Is there a certain period of time that those requests have to be answered?
We have to respond in 10 days. You
Mhm.
can take a 14-day extension of that, like extra 40 to 24 days. If it's
Provide
a-
all the information?
No, it's 10 days to respond, and then the 14 to extra to respond, so that you can look through to make sure you have what they're asking for. And then there's not like a strict deadline of when to send them the things, but it's like in a reasonable time. So you can't do it in a year. But I responded to one last Monday and then finished sending the information yesterday. So that was reasonable. Like I said, here's your first batch of requested items, and you'll have the next amount on August 7th. So
And how much time would you estimate that you spend, on public records requests?
they come in bursts. Like when Peter Neuschel's sending them in, we can spend like 20 hours sometimes.
In a week?
It depends on
Per
the
request?
nature of the request, the nature of the request. Like the parking one took a lot of time from us, from Dixon, from Jamie, like all of us had to spend a lot of time on that one.
Time and money.
Time and money, yeah.
Mhm.
We don't charge right now, but it is an option for the district to charge, but then requesters have an option to request a fee waiver
Mhm.
as well. And I don't understand, I don't want to speak like wrongly, but from what I understood from when we first put it in place, if we're only submitting things electronically, which is what all the requests have been, I don't think we have as much ability to charge, but I might be misunderstanding that. I don't know, Jamie, if you could.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's generally correct, yeah. So like if they're requesting hard copies, we can set a reasonable fee for the amount of time it's taking plus the actual cost of copying. But public records are public, and so it is considered, like the district's obligation to provide those records to anyone who's requesting.
You can't charge for your time? We can't charge for the time that it takes for staff to prepare the public record?
It depends on what it's for. If it's just for searching and collecting the records, probably not, because that falls within the duties that the district is required to perform. If it's related to copying at their request, then yes, we can charge a fee for that.
Got it. Sorry. Thank you.
And we don't have to produce anything that doesn't exist or is in draft.
Thank God.
No, that is
Can't
like,
make stuff up.
people ask us for things that don't exist,
Yeah.
but they're saying, we want all your plans on X.
Oh.
This last person, they want our plans for improving the roads at UC Santa Barbara. We don't have plans for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes people may request an analysis of something. It's like, we haven't analyzed that. We need the data.
Yeah. Got it.
All right, well, thank you for that update, staff. Seeing no other questions, now at this time, I'd like to move on to item 6, our closed session. So we will begin our first item on liability claims.
Okay.
Oh,
So
you gotta read out what the items are, and then we have to actually go to closed session.
Okay.
Let our guests leave.
Okay, I will read out these items. Thank you for reminding me. So we have 2 items for closed session. Item 1, liability claims pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95. Our claimant is Peter Neuschel. Agency claimed against Isla Vista Community Services District. Our second item is the public employee performance evaluation / public employee appointment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, titled District Council. At this time, we will move to closed session and we will ask our guests to leave. Thank you for being here and spending your time with us.
Yeah, thank you. Good Lord, the AC is like working today.
Oh, you're in that spot.
Oh,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is done.
Yeah.
They're just joining. Okay, we're ready.
Okay, thank you everyone for waiting for us. We are returning from closed session at 8:24 p.m. Council, could you report out the act, or do I report out the action?
I can do
Either
it.
way, yeah.
Okay, please.
Okay, so the first item was a liability claim pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95. Claimant Peter Nuschel, agency claimed against Isla Vista Community Services District. Direction was given to staff, no reportable action taken. The second was public employee performance evaluation / public employee appointment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. The title of District Council. The board did take final action to appoint Jamie Traxler as District Council and provided further direction to staff.
Thank you very much. Congratulations for joining us officially. We're really happy to have you. And now I will move on to our 7th area, future meeting dates and future agenda items. Do any directors have future agenda items they would like to let our staff know about or add to a building list? See none. So the next regular meeting of the Board of Directors will take place on August 22nd, 2023 at 6 p.m. on Zoom and at the Community Room 970 Embarcadero Del Mar, Isla Vista, California. We are adjourned.
Yeah, terrific. So who did he, so was it county council?